Hey, everybody, welcome to the WoodsEdge Podcast. My name is Dave, and we are in the midst of a new season that's called Life Lessons. And it's just about the lessons that we have learned along the way and picking up some things from others that might be helpful to our own journey. And I'm really excited because today we have one of our elders, and you probably have also seen him as a guest speaker on Sunday mornings, but DeLeon Bennett, thanks for coming. And I want to give you your introduction. These are DeLeon's words that he is a jacked up, cracked up child of God just trying to do his will. So tell me why those words, DeLeon?
Those words, because it is very true. First off, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. I've recognized in life that I am pretty messed up. I guess our vernacular around here is broken.
Yeah.
And that is the case. God has accomplished some amazing things through me as his vessel. I get credit for none of them. If we talk about the things that I get credit for, it's the stuff that I messed up. So I'm just grateful to him for choosing to use me. And there is a passage that links to it where Paul talks about us being earthen vessels, and it has the picture of us being cracked, but he still shines his light through us. And I believe when I'm a picture person, and so if I visualize this vessel in a dark room with a light inside, and that light becomes more brilliant and takes on different forms and shapes when it's coming through those cracks.
Yeah.
So he redeems them, and that's who I am.
Yeah. Well, let's go back a little bit to childhood. Little DeLeon, give us a sense of, the family you grew up in. Did you grow up in the church? Did you grow up in a family of faith?
Did grow up in a family of faith, and sometimes I kid and say that my pastor was in cahoots with the doctors in St. Mary's because I was not born in a hospital. I was born in church because every day we were at church. There was a meeting every day. And while I'm grateful for that, grateful for the faith of my family, grateful for the faith that is my foundation, I over the course of my years also learned there's a danger in that too. Jeff coined, or he probably didn't coin it, but uses the phrase a lot, churchianity. It's easy to get caught up in the church culture and knowing the things to do and the things to say, even knowing the word, but missing out on the relationship.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful for my foundation. I'm also grateful that the Lord exposed to me that you can be missing out on the main thing while still looking just like you're supposed to look in church.
Yeah. Well, let's dig deeper on that. What did that look like in your life? What did churchianity look like for you?
Wow. Okay, so I came from a broken home. Not in that my mom and dad weren't married. My mom, my dad, my brother, we all grew up in the same house and all of that stuff. But, and this is part of our testimony, and my dad wouldn't mind me saying it. He allowed me to preach about it before. He is and forever will be a recovering drug addict, sex, love, and relationship addict. And so we had multiple lives. There was a life that actually existed inside my house, and there was a life that was at church. And my dad was a Sunday school superintendent, and he was a deacon and all these other things. And the kids were like, "Oh, man, I wish my dad was your daddy." And I'm going, and we had these dual lives. So again, I'm in Sunday school, and I could spit all the scripture at you and all of that good stuff. But I also learned later in life, I had deep anger management issues. Some of the things that we'll talk about later, I learned through Regen. Shout out to Regen. But I learned through Regen that I've got deeply rooted issues of abandonment and rejection, deeply rooted trust issues, inferiority, things of that nature. And a lot of that came through it. And it also made me guarded about church people, even though I was always around church people, and learned I am a church people. So I got the same imperfections, right? I'm just used to mine.
Yeah.
So what did that look like? Like I said, I'm not joking when I say every day there was a church meeting.
Yeah.
And so just being in church all the time, and we had morning services and night services. We were at church all the time. And it just became a norm. But the things that I saw as imperfections in my dad. That's the one that was closest to me. It's the one that I knew the most. I was so grateful for the other people in church and the other men that were in my life because they showed me what true Christianity was all about. What God later revealed to me is I just wasn't close enough to them to see their imperfections like I was to my dad. And what that also helped me to understand is you get close enough to me, I may be that for you.
Yeah.
Jacked up, cracked up vessel.
Yeah. How did you reconcile what you were seeing from your dad outside of church with this person that he was inside of church?
That's a great one, Dave. I don't know that there was truly a reconciliation. It was more of an acceptance of it is what it is. So I grew up with old school parents. You respected your parents. So, if you liked your teeth, moreover, and you liked them in your mouth, you're not at all disrespectful. And there were some things you just didn't talk about. So it was what it was. And I knew when we stepped in the church that I was dealing with the church guy.
Yeah.
And when we got in the car and pulled off the parking lot, I was dealing with the other one.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of what my life was. So I don't know that there was, especially then, a reconciliation.
Right. Was there a moment where you started to transition from what you've called churchianity into something that was more real? I mean, I'm guessing that happened along the way, but can you identify some of those mile markers where you started that journey?
I think a big one. So it was in college, and I was that guy. I got my grades because, again, I like being alive. I partied, and no matter how, if I'm at a party Saturday till 3, 4 in the morning, so into Sunday morning, everybody knew DeLeon was going to church the next day. And I drove from Prairie View to Houston on most instances going to church, and that's just what it was. And so I kept that connection. But I remember being at a particular party. I remember the apartment I was in the whole nine, and I'm in a room full of people. Everybody knows me. I know all of them. And I felt like I was all alone. It was the craziest thing. I ended up going into one of we were in the living room where the party was. I ended up going into one of the bedrooms, and he dealt with me. And it was like, so how long are we going to do this? Because you kind of got one foot in and one foot out, and you couldn't have convinced me of that. But you got one foot in and one foot out, and you're not really fully surrendered to me. I mean, you say all the right stuff. I use you to encourage other people. Stuff comes out of your mouth that you're like, man, that was good. We should write that down. and other folks are blessed by you, and they even come to you because of my light shining through you. But you aren't really living for me.
Yeah.
And you can compare and keep on going, well, you're not doing that, and you're not doing that, and you're not. But you're not really mine either. So how long are we going to do this? That was a milestone moment. It started the journey of, I don't want it to be superficial.
Yeah.
And so that was a pivotal moment for me personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you ever think about, and growing up in church, and of course, I've heard you preach, and you preach like someone who knows what he's doing. I remember the first time that my family heard you preach. It was probably one of the first Sundays we were at WoodsEdge.
Wow.
And we get back in the car, and, I'll usually ask the standard Christian parent question of, well, what'd you think of the sermon? And immediately my middle son, Jackson, goes, I like that guy. I was like, okay, that's pretty high praise to get from a, 11-year-old at the time.
Yes, I'm grateful.
So, I mean, all that to say, did you consider going into vocational ministry? Have you ever been in vocational ministry? What was that decision like?
The answer to the first question is absolutely not. In fact, there are two things in my life I said I would never do no matter what. The first, become a preacher. The second, be an entrepreneur. Kind of 0 for 2. So I wouldn't even consider it. So we grew up again in church. For whatever reason, the way the Lord fixed it, we also grew up very close to our pastors. Like they come to our house, we go to theirs, the whole thing. We were like family. And I saw the backside of church. I saw the way people treated the pastors. And man, DeLeon's words, church people are crazy. and again, Jonathan McReynolds has a song entitled People, and it talks about how people are peopling, right? And he, at the end of it, asks God, and forgive me when I'm one of those people. So I recognize I'm a church people, so I'm guilty as I say this. But I didn't give myself credit for it. There's only so much I'm going to take, was my mindset. So at a certain point, you're going to meet me, and that's not going to look like Christ. And I'm not going to do that position, that office, that disservice. And so since I know I can't take that, is the way I looked at it, I just won't enter that realm. And growing up, I spoke in churches a lot and things of that nature, like from very young. And people would always tell me, you're going to be a preacher. And depending upon your age, I would kindly tell you how nuts you were. I would do it very respectfully if you were older, but it's something I warred against. And when the Lord did start tapping me to let me know, hey, this is what I want, man, that was a place of turmoil for me. And I would keep trying to turn the volume of life up because absolutely not. I will never do it. No. So did I consider it? My consideration was absolutely not, ever. And God saw that differently, and here we are.
Yeah, what was it that tipped the scales then to you being willing to use that gift? And how have you seen God work in your life through that?
The scale tipper was a guy named Jeff Wells. So and again, the Lord had been working on me. And one night, he really worked me over and caused me to know this is what I'm saying. And so I dealt with that for a few days. I sat at the table with my wife, and it was such a pitiful conversation, okay? And I'm like, I have something to this is how it sounded. She probably thought I like chopped somebody up and buried them under the house, as bad as this was. And I eventually got out, I think the Lord is calling me to preach. She was like, okay. And I'm like, okay, that's not the right answer. You can't say okay, you're supposed to fight me. So that thing happened prior to, but Jeff had Duncan and I come after George Floyd's murder and spend time with the staff for a particular purpose. And so as we're having that time with each other, and that was on one of the Tuesday morning staff times, as we're having that time that morning, Jeff saw God's gifting and anointing on me for preaching. And so I'm riding home. Duncan and I came together. I dropped Duncan off. I'm headed to the house. And I get this text that says, done much preaching. And anybody who like really knows and interacts with Jeff, that is classic Jeff Wells. There's not any done much preaching.
Yeah, no extra words.
None. So I looked and I'm like, number one, because I didn't have his number at that time, who is this? And number two, absolutely not, right? So I find out that it's Jeff, and I go, because I don't want this conversation.
Yeah.
And it's that thing of, you type, back out, you type. So I sent back, no. That was it. And we started this dialogue, and Jeff brought me into the office and said, listen, when you communicated this thing, so he took me to a specific point of what I shared, he said, that had God's preacher all over it. And it's kind of hard now, or at that moment in time, rather, to run from that. He's already worked me over. I finally broke down and said it to my wife. I wasn't planning to say it to anybody else. And now I'm sitting in the room with my senior pastor telling me, I see his preaching gift on you and his anointing. What do you do with that? Right? And he saw that, and I'm grateful to God for showing it to Jeff. I'm grateful to God for Jeff choosing to nurture it. And I'll say to your 11-year-old, and that just blows my mind, and some of the other kids and adults and everything else that have been touched by God preaching through me, again, emphasis on him, not me, that's me operating under his anointing.
Yeah.
I don't deserve it by any stretch. I'm not as cool as sermons make me look. Definitely is not as put together. But he chooses to cover me, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then to use me despite the fact that I'm jacked up and cracked up. It is mind-blowing.
Yeah. Well, so 0 for 1 on the preaching thing, but then you also said that you're never going to be an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And obviously there's something behind that. So let's lean into what career path you did choose, and where did God lead you? And then what was he teaching you in the midst of, through your work?
Wow. So I spent a couple of decades working as a systems engineer and then as a project manager for Motorola. And so prior to that, my first job ever, I was 7 years old. My mom had her own business from the time I was 7 to 17. Thus me saying I would never, ever be an entrepreneur. I saw the backside of entrepreneurship. She was working when we got up and she was working when we went to bed.
Yeah.
So I didn't want that. And corporate was comfortable as far as the security. It's a false security that I perceived it to have.
Mm-hmm.
God blessed me all through my career, gave me a lot of challenges with people, but also created space. I didn't see it this way then, all right? But created space for him to shine through me, even with other people coming and saying, man, how do you take that? And not God, because I would, and so at the 2.5-year mark, Motorola dropped this package I'd never seen before in my 21 years at Motorola. And we prayed on it. He gave us peace about it. We took it. And I thought, I'm going to just go into my next corporate gig and ride it out into the sunset. My wife forced me to take some time off because I was going to end on Friday at Motorola and be working somewhere else on Monday. She was like, absolutely not. We're praying through this. And at a certain point, I heard him say, start your own business. I didn't want to do it. I went to her and presented it in a horrible way. I'm pretty sure God said this, but don't worry, I'm not going to do it because...
DeLeon, I feel like I've heard this story before, going to your wife and presenting things in, maybe a not so favorable way.
Yeah, that might have been. He speaks to me through her a lot, okay? And she's patient. She sat and listened to me. And when I finished this, making it look really ugly, she said, okay, I understand. You're saying the Lord told you to do something and you're not going to do it and you think that's a good idea. And I was like, absolutely not. That's horrible. But I had a beeline argument already ready. I'm going to hit you in the security gene. We got a constant check coming in, yada, yada. And that's not what it is in entrepreneurship. You eat what you kill and I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what the business will be. I don't know. So that would be a horrible thing to do. And she said, you know what? I apologize. I mischaracterized what you said. You're saying the Lord told you to do something and you're going to do the opposite. You think that's a good idea.
She is not letting you off the hook.
At all. The next night I was on the Texas Comptroller's page starting Bennett Management Solutions. And I'll say this too. The first couple of years of that journey were horrible. They were absolutely horrible. That package I told you about from Motorola, I had a year's severance, drained it like a champ. Not bragging. We made lifestyle choices. We got on Dave Ramsey's plan, right?
Yeah.
Live like no one else, you can live like no one else. So we made choices to get our debt down to nothing but the house note. And we kept that by choice. And we had 6 months of living expenses saved up. Drained that like a champ.
Wow.
At Motorola, I was the answer man, like truly. And it's because God would tell me to do stuff. And as crazy as it sounded, I would do it and it worked. And so people would drop me into situations. They typically wouldn't tell me all of the details, but they thought nobody could make this work. And I'm like, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. When you do this, they'll probably say this. If they say this, you do this. And it's like this whole thing, not because I'm so cool, it's God. And the stuff would happen. And folks are like, wow. So I'm the answer man. But now I don't have an answer for anything. I feel incompetent and useless. I'm sitting I leave home before my girls are up, so I kiss them before I leave. I get back and they're asleep. I'm doing these networking, all this stuff, trying to drum up business. Found more ways to be told no than I ever thought existed. And my wife always breathed life into me. Never questioned it. Always pushed me back in the ring when I said, man, I'm done with this. No, you're not, because God told you to do it. And I remember one night in particular, I'm sitting, it's, I don't know, midnight or something. I'm sitting in my office in front of my computer. The screen is blank. It's on, but it's blank, and I'm looking at it. I don't know whether to open a Word document or an Excel doc. I don't know what to do. I'm just sitting here, but I feel like I need to be doing something. And I'm at a deep low, and she comes to my door and says, hey, look at me. I don't want to look at her. I'm failure. I'm failing her. I'm failing my kids, you know. And she says, look at me. And so I look up. She says, I'm proud of you. I said, and I look back down. She said, look at me. So I look up. She says, I am proud of you. I said, for what? Oh, maybe draining our finances like a champ. Oh, no, not that. Oh, getting so many people to say no to me that, I don't know, now when I just walk up, they start saying no. And I go down this whole pity party thing, right? And my wife, being patient, lets me. And when I'm done, she said, you are teaching our girls what it looks like to trust Christ even when it doesn't make sense. In fact, what it looks like to trust him when it seems like the wrong thing to do. They'll never be able to pick that up from a sermon.
Wow.
That's what I didn't say anything. I was just like, right? Yeah, he definitely speaks to me through her. A couple more and I'll breathe. Entrepreneurship, I know for a fact he told me to do this and all of that, and I still didn't have answers, and I still couldn't see far beyond my next step. And so this fallacy that, if God leads you to it, he's going to just lay out the green line like that commercial. It's not, I'm not going to say he never does that, but that's not how he did it for me. At one particular time, here again, my wife, I'm in a low, and she sends me this Jesus is Calling devotion. She took a picture of it and sent it to me. And it essentially said, you're walking this path, this heavy, heavy, dense, deep fog just sits on you. And you could only see one step in front of you. And so you take one step at a time because it's all you can see. And at some point, the fog lifts, and you turn around and look, and there's this treacherous, tumultuous terrain that you have come through. If he had not dropped that fog when you first saw that, there's no, nope, I'm not going in there. But because he dropped that protective fog, you couldn't see all of the pitfalls and snares and dangers that you perceived. And he navigated you through it, and then was gracious enough to lift it and let you look back on it. Yeah. And what she was saying to me is, you started this journey in obedience, and you can't see past your own foot, not feet, foot. But that's God too. So keep doing what you're doing. Yeah.
Well, I feel like that story, I have heard a version of that story so often, and I have lived a version of that story. I'm thinking back, you're talking, and I'm thinking about my own experience, a little over 10 years ago, stepping away from being a worship pastor and starting a ministry, and being very sure that God had called me to it, very excited, about it, and so sure that the trajectory was just up and to the right, and finding out. You mentioned those first 2 years, and it was the exact same thing for me. Those were such difficult years. We had a group of investors, and I remember what it felt like to go into that first investor meeting and feeling so embarrassed at how much of their money I had spent and how little we had received in return. Wow. And I remember that second year, I probably have never felt more despair, certainly, and not up until that point. And I remember our savings is going down, and I would lie in bed and just, my eyes would just be open, I'm just looking at the ceiling, and only thing I can think about is how I'm failing my wife.
Yeah.
I'm failing my family.
Yes.
I had this opportunity and I'm squandering it.
Yes.
And I remember telling my friend before we started this ministry, I remember telling them, I'm pretty sure God is calling me deeper into trust. And what I didn't realize when I said that, well, first of all, it was true. But when I said that is what the trajectory of that looks like. And a lot of times it looks like a downhill slope instead of an uphill slope.
Yes.
And so I just wonder if you could kind of hone in on that portion of your career and starting that business and what it meant to trust God in the midst of that really low point.
Yeah. So Dave, prior to starting the business, and I called the business my act of obedience.
Yeah.
Because as I told you, I didn't want to do it. I considered myself a man of faith before I started that business. Look at all the things he's brought me through and all these horrible things in my life and all this stuff, and I know how to trust him. He created a safe space for me. Even with some of the challenges, it became comfortable to trust him. In this portion of my life and journey, it's not comfortable anymore. My wife is a CPA. So when these numbers are doing this, there's no fooling her, okay? It's a daunting thing to day after day, morning through evening, just be told no. And I'll get connected with this mentor in this great meeting, and they tell me, hey, you're trying to hunt whales. You need to hunt minnows. You're going after a business that's too big for you. And then, well, what's your 5-year plan? Where are you going to be in 10 years? I don't know. And part of my I don't know was I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And the definition of that is, what does God want this business to be? That truly was my root question. Now, you're not supposed to say that in business forums. And they'll look at you like you're nuts. But that's my question. So I'm like, God, I'm trying to make this business be what you want it to be. I'm trying to be faithful to you. I'm trying to be countercultural because the folks over here, are doing it this way and nothing is netted. And then we are about to close the deal with a huge chemical company in the Houston area.
Wow.
Yes. And that was 2020. And a week later, COVID.
Wow.
So I'm looking up going, what are we doing? What are we doing? I've done this for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
I've tanked all of our savings. We're about to dip into long term. We finally get a light. And what are we doing? And then you know what started happening? I'm sitting at my desk. Hey, how you doing? Had this conversation. I want to come back to work for Motorola, but I want to come through your company, blah, 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 blah. Boom, okay. Next thing you know, hey, you brought that person through. I want you to bring it, and this is legitimate stuff, right? And so I want to bring this person through. Okay, and each of these is a 3-month contract. Both of those got re-upped for 2 solid years. Hey, you know that deal? I know I've called you 6 different times across a year span saying this deal is actually happening. It's really happening now. Okay, man. Yeah. No, I'm serious. When city council signs the deal, call me. Is where I am.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, city council signs the deal. I had been grinding, fishing in these holes, and he started blessing me through these. He did it in a way that showed this is not you.
Yeah.
You can take no credit for any of this.
Yeah.
And he began to redeem the time. I am not saying if you get to your point in your life, friends, where you fully surrender, God is just going to rain down. I don't know what it's going to look like. What I do know is in that period after COVID hit and I had my "what are we doing" session, and I went back to God and I said, hey, I get it. I mean, I fully don't get it, but I get it. So I surrender. Make this what you want it to be. And then those phone calls started happening, Dave. It's a story I can't even concoct. And so it was dark, it was dreary, it was dank. And in that environment, he was forging my faith. He was forging my understanding of dependence on him. I've long said and continue to say God didn't give me the wife I asked for because I didn't have sense enough to ask for the wife that he gave me. I knew I married stepladder up, okay? But I didn't really know what I had. And in those couple of years of all of that turmoil, he showed me facets of what he gifted me and my wife that I never would have been able to see another. That's kind of limiting him. But my denseness, I wouldn't have seen it any other way.
Yeah.
He was so gracious, as crazy as this sounds, to allow me that period to build my appreciation for my wife, to build my trust in him, to build my faith in him, to shatter my image of my faith so he could recreate it and show me how much more I need, even so that right now I recognize, Lord, I believe, but help my unbelief. So very uncomfortable, but so rich.
Yeah.
So invaluably, immeasurably rich.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to ask you about your wife because she's obviously a huge part of the story. But I do want to button up just one piece that you referred to, and I think that is so significant. You just kind of did it by your gestures, but you're referring to the disciples being out on the lake and fishing, and they're fishing and they're fishing and they're not getting anything.
Yes.
And Jesus is like, "Hey, try the other side," and they're like, "No, we've been fishing all night." He's like, just try the other side. And of course, they bring in a huge haul of fish. Yeah. And it has occurred to me in my own story that in the hard times, I've been like, God, I thought you called me to do this. Yes. And it's as if, the disciples had said, hey, God, you called us to fish. We're fishing. But I had never given God an opportunity to say, but try the other side. Yeah. And that level of surrender, whether or not that leads to, of course, we would love for all of our efforts to lead to immense success. Yeah. God's got different ideas of what success are. But when we surrender to him, it will lead us to his success, his blessing, whatever he has for us. And that was the biggest learning that I feel like I'm in the midst of right now, is not just saying, well, God, you called me to fish, so I'm fishing, but being willing to pause and be like, hey, where do you want me to fish? Yes. What do you want me to do? This net or that net? Yes. Giving over that control to him is a big deal.
Yes and amen, brother.
Yeah. Well, let's spend a little bit of time on, because she's come out like at every stage of this conversation. So tell us a little bit about your wife and about your relationship. And it sounds to me like she just doesn't take any crap. That's just kind of what it sounds like to me.
Yes and amen. And she does it in the most gentle way.
Yeah.
She is the sweetest corrector that you can ever meet, because she's going to tell you like it is, but it's going to be filled with so much grace that you can only go, thank you. She just chopped your head off, You're like, thank you. And her patience is, I haven't found the bottom of it. And I don't intentionally try to, but man, it seems like I operate a backhoe. And she is perfect for me. Mm-hmm. She's not perfect. And I don't say that to defame her in any way. I say that acknowledging she's human. We're called to love our wives like Christ loved the church. I didn't process that I'm the church. I'm raggedy. I railed against Christ. While I was yet his enemy, he died for me. I know the stuff that I did to him. And I know his love response. I don't want to love her like that. That's hard. Dying to myself for her. Now, when we're in an argument, even if she's dead wrong, when I was dead wrong, what was Christ's response to that and to me? And that's my role as a husband. Had I but known that and been able to wear those lenses entering my marriage, how much better, it would have been a lot harder for me starting out, but how much better it would have been because I would have had a better understanding of how to serve my wife each day. And all that stuff that you're building your case on and your rock solid defense of how come you're right. Okay, you won. You're right. Now, look at that from the lens of how Christ loved the church. And you're called to do the same thing, and that's pour out love and grace to her.
Yeah.
Well, how would you say, as you've talked about this kind of evolution that we go through of ultimately becoming more like Jesus along the way, how would you say that your wife has helped you become more like Jesus?
Wow. How much tape you got in the camera? Wow. Man, I don't even know. My wife is a better reflection of Christ than I am, period. My wife, again, has taught me patience. My wife is, I can be quick to respond and witty. And I don't mean that in a complimentary fashion. Yeah, when we are in the proximity of a husband and wife, and how you say what you say matters. I grew up in a black or white. That's what it is. There's not gray. It's black or white. It's this or that. And we also, you just kind of said stuff how you thought it. And that's what it was. She didn't grow up that way. She's taught me a greater level of gentleness. She has demonstrated for me what really I should have been demonstrating to her in reconciliation. If she comes to me a certain way, I'm quick to respond and I'm gonna give it right back to you. That's not right. And so if we get amped, and we don't do the hollering and screaming and cussing at each other, that's not how we get down. But you could still get at each other. You can be in the ring in a different fashion, right? And so we're in the ring and it's amped up. And now we're like, and she'll come back and say, hey, babe, something. May have nothing to do with the source of contention, but what it was is the extension of the olive branch.
Right.
That I should have been extending. And she's showing me ways to do that. She's showing me forgiveness. She's showing me walking into reconciliation. She's showing me grace. And she's showing me how to kind of die to yourself for the benefit of the other, which is what he called us to do. She's showing me how to walk out the action of love, because we like to romanticize this thing and make love an emotion. Love is a command. You can't really command an emotion, and he commands us to love, and he shows us how to do that, and she's demonstrating this thing to me. So that probably just scratches the surface. He has not only brought me closer to him through her, he's also helped me to see what it looks like to look like him through her. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the WoodsEdge Podcast. Hey, we gave a couple shout outs to Regen in this podcast. And if you want to know more about Regen, which is a Christ-centered recovery program, go to woodsedge.org/regen, REGEN. And of course, we want you to like and subscribe because we don't want you to miss an episode. If you want to know more about Woods Edge, come visit us north of Houston in the Woodland Spring area or go to woodsedge.org.